Hello, YouTubers and NFL fans everywhere. This is Matt, the NFL Fanatic, giving you my 2017-2018 NFL Divisional Round Weekend predictions. Well, for the Fanatic to start the 2017-2018 NFL playoffs, it was a split week in both ways. Against the spread and straight up, I went 500 both ways. Which is okay for me. You know, I was proud that the Titans and Bills covered their spreads, but I was also angry that the Titans and the Titans and Falcons won their games. And the one that probably was the most irritating is the Tennessee Titans victory. So shout out to Keith Bailey, shout out to all Tennessee Titans fans. Congratulations. It's your first playoff win in 14 seasons. And it was a big-time victory. And also, Marcus Mariota became only the second quarterback in NFL history to throw a touchdown pass to himself. And I believe the only other quarterback that did that was Brad Johnson. Yeah, Brad Johnson. So kudos to Mariota for that. But that was just one of those games where you don't have a lead as substantial as the Chiefs did. They had an 18-point lead going into the half. They scored a touchdown from a prevent defense. The Titans were playing a prevent defense, and the Chiefs were still able to score. And then go into the second half and be able to put up 0 points. To let the Titans basically dominate on third down for the second half and not even run the ball. You had the NFL leading rusher in Kareem Hunt, who became only the third Chief to be the leading rusher in the NFL, and the first one since Priest Holmes. And you only give the guy 11 carries. At that point in the game, you run him on every drive the first 2 downs. Keep doing it because you're just going to keep getting time, and then you just throw a little quick screen or stick routes to the tight end and just systematically move the football down the field. Don't go for deep shots. You don't need to make explosive plays. You just need to play consistent, smart, and steady football, something Alex Smith has done very well. But with the Chiefs, this is now their 6th straight home playoff loss. The last time they won a home playoff game, Joe Montana was the quarterback in that game. So that was that's in a very long time. And for a lot of Chiefs fans, I have to say this: Andy Reid is Marty Schottenheimer, and Marty Schottenheimer is Andy Reid. Marty Schottenheimer had a phenomenal decade run in Kansas City, I believe, from 89 to 99. And in those 10 years, the Chiefs made a ton of playoff games. They were one of the better teams a lot every year. But you had the Glenn Elliott game where Glenn Elliott misses 3 field goals. You have the Trent Green game where on 4th down, he throws this horrible interception. You have the 93 AFC Championship game where Montana gets concussed. And just Marty Schottenheimer, and Andy Reid, they both have the same quality where they are very good coaches and they bring in a lot of talent. And most of the time they play games where they have the more talent on their team, but at the end of the day, they always end up on the losing end of the stick in some of the most bizarre ways possible. So I do believe Andy Reid deserves more scrutiny for how poor he's ran the Chiefs over the last several years, and actually his whole coaching career the last decade. And it's time for Alex Smith to go. You know, I'm an Alex Smith fan. But at this point, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the guy. And I think with this loss, it basically just compounds everybody that has those Alex Smith skepticisms right into more proven fact. Because Alex Smith did nothing in the second half. And even though he didn't have Travis Kelce, that's a game they should have won. And also, I do want to blame the refs. The Chief fans have one gripe that is legitimate, that forward progress call, which should not have been forward progress. Because I don't understand how Mariota moved forward. He got knocked down, the ball came out. You could say he was down by contact at that point. That's fair. But at that point, that should have been a foul. And it's ironic that the ref retired, Jeff Triplett, retired after that game. So, but congrats to Titans fans for that one. And then the Falcons-Rams game, that game was basically just the one where Atlanta was the better team. After the 3rd drive in the game, where you have Farrell Cooper, who muffed 2 big special teams returns, Atlanta was just more physical. Their defense was more stifling. The number 1 offense in the NFL which averaged around 29 points per game. Only became the second offense in NFL history to go from worst to first in NFL offenses in one single season. They shut him down. Todd Gurley was wore out, even though he had a phenomenal yard per rush. He had 14 carries over 100 yards, while the Falcons running backs had about 101, 102 yards on 32 carries combined. But Matt Ryan showed experience. He made some nice big plays to Sanu and Jones and Hardy in big-time moments. And Matt Bryant with 2 more 50-yard kicks, which basically iced the game for Atlanta, just like it did last week. So I look at Atlanta, and you just see a very complete team right now, where the defense is actually holding its own with the offense. Is the offense still is the offense still a good offense? It is. It's not as explosive as Shanahan had it, but now with this defense complementing it, it's kind of an interesting thing where you look at the Atlanta Falcons and teams could sleep on either way, and I think that's a good thing for the Falcons because they could say, oh, there's no way the Falcons defense can hold our offense or anything, and watch what it does there. And then same thing with the offense. It's like, oh, there's no way they could keep up with us. Well, they can, Ryan and his arsenal of talent. And for the Rams, you know what? Congratulations for the season. It overall was a good year. It wasn't the greatest of ways to go out, but at the same time, for the Rams, you're 11-5. You're going to be the NFC West favorites going into next season. And I believe that you have a team. You gain some assets such as safety, another offensive lineman, maybe a backup running back to help Gurley get more of a respite, maybe another wide receiver. The Rams can go right back into playoff contention and definitely win a playoff game next year if they have more talent. So, and I'll talk about the other 2 games when I talk about the other games here, but it is not time for my picks. So, on Saturday, when the number 6 seeded Atlanta Falcons go to the number 1 seeded Philadelphia Eagles, the Atlanta Falcons are 2.5-point favorites in this game. I like Atlanta here, minus 2.5. And Atlanta straight up. Then the next game, when the 5-seeded Tennessee Titans go to the number 1 seed New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are 13-point favorites in this game. I like New England here, minus 13, and New England straight up. And then on Sunday, when the number 3 seeded Jacksonville Jaguars go to the number 2 seed Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 7.5-point favorites in this game. I like Pittsburgh here, minus 7.5, and Pittsburgh straight up. And finally, on Sunday, the game of the week, in my opinion, when the number 3 seeded New Orleans Saints go to the number 2 seeded Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are 4-point favorites in this game. I like Minnesota here, minus 4, and Minnesota straight up. All right, so time for my thoughts on each game. Atlanta over the Eagles. This game to me is very easy. I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons here because the Eagles lost Carson Wentz, and they lost their Super Bowl hopes. If this was Carson Wentz, I'd probably take the Eagles to win because offensively they would be able to compete with the Falcons. I think with that defense, I think the Eagles defense would be rested and be motivated, and I think they can shut down the Atlanta offense enough to let Carson Wentz make enough plays with his feet and his arm to get this victory. However, with Nick Foles being who he is, seeing the last 2 games he played against the Raiders and Cowboys, 2 not-so-great defenses. He looked awful. They got shut out in the last game. He didn't look great anyway. I know you could say, well, Sudfeld played basically 70% of the game. I know, but still, he didn't look good. And I just look at Atlanta, and I've gone against them the last 2 weeks, and it's not like I've seen 2 completely different Atlanta teams. I've seen the same Atlanta team. A very solid defense by I know he has a Marquell Menard or and someone's I thought but with him and Dan Quinn leading defense and Sarkisian running the offense, I've seen a consistent game plan by the Falcons that I can definitely see them executing very well against the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Nick Foles. Do I think the Eagles can compete? Absolutely. You have a decent running back stable, Vajayi, Blunt, Smallwood, Clement. They can run the ball and catch the ball. And Nick Foles will have Zach Ertz and the Philadelphia cold air. And it's supposed to rain in Philadelphia over the weekend as well. So there's a lot of weather factors that can hinder the Falcons. And also the last time the Eagles played the Falcons in Philly, they lost as well. But I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons here because I truly believe if you just look at these 2 teams, Atlanta's got the better defense. It's got the more experience. It's got the more motivation because they know that if they win this game, they will have a chance, and maybe a decent chance, to upset either the Saints or Vikings in the NFC Championship game to get back to the Super Bowl. And with the way they're playing right now, I just think, again, against the Philadelphia team without their MVP quarterback, I think Atlanta should be able to grind out another victory. Would I be surprised if Philadelphia won the game? Yeah, I would. But I think Philadelphia definitely has enough talent around them to at least make it competitive and not make it a blowout where Philadelphia's overall season to a lot of their fans is going to feel wasted by the lack of effort in the playoff game. It should be an interesting game because I do want to see if Philadelphia can compete to take the Falcons here. More complete team, playing a very consistent brand of football. And I'm just thinking, no Carson Wentz means no victory for the Eagles in the postseason. So that's why I like Atlanta here, -2.5, but Atlanta straight up. The next game, the Patriots over the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans had their moment. Congratulations. Marcus Mariota is now 2-14 in games where he is trailed by 14-plus points. And both those wins, ironically, were against the same team, the Kansas City Chiefs. In Kansas City. So, good for him. And also I'm happy for Mike Mularkey, a guy that I did not believe. I know a lot of Titans fans wanted Mike Mularkey fired. That made no sense to me because Mike Mularkey has done a great job as the coach. He is 18-14 as the head coach. He has a playoff appearance and a playoff victory. You know who also went 9-7 in his first 2 years? Bill O'Brien. And Bill O'Brien gets a lot of passes for, all the quarterback stuff he's been through. And he gets credit for winning with those quarterbacks. But that's just to be fair. I'm putting Mularkey and O'Brien in the same category. We can't give passes to one guy if they have the same resume and bash the other. So I will give Mike Mularkey his due. I'm happy he will coach there next year. He deserves one mulligan year with the Titans. But I think with how the AFC is shaping up, that they can definitely be in the playoff conversation once again going into next season. However, Titans fans, with all that said, you're going into Foxborough where Tom Brady, in the last several years, since 2005, has won the divisional round of 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 7 times in the last 13 years, including 6 straight times. For a lot of Pats fans, this game really doesn't matter because they feel that confident just over the last several years that really they start paying attention to the games in the postseason when it comes to Week 20 in the AFC Championship game. And no offense, Titans, I kind of feel the same. I feel that same way this year as I have the last several years against a lot of the Patriots' divisional round opponents. Do I think you can compete? Absolutely. You've been motivated, and you are going to be doubted by everybody, maybe except Jacksonville. If Jacksonville and you can pull off the upset, the Titans may make the Super Bowl because I'll take the Titans to beat the Jags after what I saw out of the Jags this past week. But with New England, this is Tom Brady's now 35th playoff game. They know what to do. They're rested. And also the Pats are motivated from all the noise that came out of the ESPN article by Seth Wickersham about how there is a supposed rift in the Patriot organization. They are a united front. Tom Brady put on his Instagram that he is a storm coming. And I think he is a storm of greatness that's going to come through and protect his home turf in New England. And Brady will get to their 7th straight AFC Championship game and the 11 for 12 for 13 overall in his career, which is incredible. I think again, if the Pats get a big lead like that, the Pats are not going to choke away the game. They did the Chiefs did. If you give the Pats an 18-point lead, you basically have given up the game, and there's very little hope for you to win that game. But I don't think that will happen. I guess we'll see. I think the game could be fairly close to at least the first 60% of it. But I think at the end, the Pats will just end up winning going away. I think they have way too much talent. Mariota, at times, he's still not as accurate with his throws. He showed that tendency with the Peters interception. And I don't think, Henry's not going to get up 156 yards. And I think, again, the Pats are just clearly better in every asset. And I think, with that being said, the Titans have enough pressure on them. But this is just a game where it's more inevitable that the Pats should win this game. If you want to talk about upsets, you could talk about the Chiefs game, and that was an upset. As I just said, Chief fans could say this is what the Chiefs do. The Pats, that would be the upset of the postseason. One of the biggest upsets in a while if the Titans go in and win that. I wish them luck, but too much talent. Brady Belichick, motivated Brady Belichick at home in the cold. Yeah, good luck with that. Especially with the Oregon guys from Hawaii. Yeah, good luck playing in that cold area. So that's why I like New England here minus 13 and New England straight up. The next game, Pittsburgh over the Jaguars. This is one of those games where I saw the Jacksonville Jaguars play the Buffalo Bills. That was one of the worst playoff games I had ever seen. Tyrod Taylor looked inept. He missed about 3 or 4 wide open plays that could have changed the whole direction of the game. Shady was not 100%. He made like 2 or 3 good runs, but then he got stuffed. And it's amazing that the Bills only scored 3 points and won, but it was sadder because Blake Bortles, his feet were better than his arm. That is an actual stat. He ran for 1 more rushing yard than he passed. He ran for 88 yards, and he passed for 87. And there was at least 7 to 10 throws where he just completely whipped the ball out of the receiver's hands and completely underthrew it. And with that being said, I have no confidence in that. If Blake Bortles and that Jaguar offense won by at least, I would say, I'll go at least won by 2 scores or more, I would have said, you know what, Pittsburgh, you better watch out. Because this is a Jackson team that the last time they played them this year, Ben Roethlisberger threw a career-high 5 interceptions. The defense absolutely smothered everybody except Antonio Brown. But the 155 yards didn't matter because they had 5 turnovers. But with that offense being said, you can look at the Steelers and say, okay, Ben can turn it over 2 or 3 more times. And they could still win the game if that Jaguar offense shows up again. Fournette only had 50 yards. D.D. Westbrook was really the only wide receiver that made big plays the entire game. And I just think, again, Pittsburgh, they're rested. They have Shazier as motivation. They're going to get Antonio Brown back. They have Schuster. They have Bryant. Their offense is going to be completely healthy and motivated to play this Jacksonville team head on. Do I think the Jags can hang around? Absolutely. That defense is the best defense remaining in the postseason. I'll go remaining in the postseason. I think the Jags defense, they have more talent than the Vikings, except in the safety spot. Because I don't think the Jags front 7 over Minnesota's, even though it's really close. But when you have Blake Bortles as your quarterback, that hinders you so much. And also, just to be fair, he was 8 of 14 for 95 yards the last game. And if you take away the 2 pick sixes, the final score of the game was really 16 offensively to 9. And Leonard Fournette didn't do anything until the end of the game, too, where he had a big 90-yard run in garbage time. But I'm going to take Pittsburgh here. I think the defense is rested. They're more motivated. They'll be motivated to play. Even though the Jags are going to have their own personal motivation with the fact that basically 6-7 weeks ago, Mike Tomlin said to Tony Dungy, we're looking forward to playing New England. They completely forgot about whoever was going to be in the divisional round. And I felt bad you can feel bad for the Jags because, they've been disrespected the whole year by a lot of different players, by a lot of different teams, especially their quarterback from Jadeveon Clowney to Vontaze Burfict to Earl Thomas to everybody's called Blake Bortles trash. And again, on Sunday, that was one of the games where he did look like trash, but at the end of the day, he won the game. And he has more playoff victories than Andy Dalton, Matt Stafford, or Kirk Cousins. He has the same amount of playoff victories as Jay Cutler. So that's one of those things where, at the end of the day, Blake Bortles made enough plays, especially with his feet, and the one big touchdown to Ben Koyak to win the game. And again, he could mess around with that defense if they get a turnover or 2 and keep them in the game. But I think, again, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville's defense has shown at times to not play well against the run. And if the Steelers commit more to the running game, which I think they should be able to win this game. This is like the Sunday games to me, honestly, for all my viewers out there, are much more entertaining than the Saturday games because I feel like the Saturday games are a lot more lopsided. Sunday games, you could actually see a lot of competition, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh here. They're at home. They're motivated from the 5 interception game, and I just don't think Blake Bortles can put up enough offensively for the Jaguars defense to do its job. I think if Pittsburgh gets to 20, 23, they win. There's no way I think the Jaguars can put up 20 or 23 points offensively by themselves. So that's it. So that's why I like Pittsburgh here -7.5 and Pittsburgh straight up. And finally, the Minnesota Vikings over the New Orleans Saints. This is the game of the week. I am so excited. These are two very good teams here. And I'm torn. I will tell all my viewers, if the New Orleans Saints won this football game, I would not be surprised at all. New Orleans has done a phenomenal job this year. They have the two-headed monster in Kamara and Ingram, who got stuffed by the Panthers defense pretty much. But Drew Brees, that's why you have Drew Brees. You can throw for 370 yards and 2 TDs. They have Ted Ginn. They have Michael Thomas. They have Brandon Coleman. They have Josh Hill. They have an offensive line that's pretty well loaded, but they did lose Andrews Feet to a broken fibula, so don't expect them to play. And the biggest reason why I'm taking the Saints is because of the injuries. That's it. The injuries, they don't have A.J. Klein, their best linebacker, or one of their best linebackers. Kenny Vaccaro went down with an injury. He's out. Now you have Andrews Peat, one of their offensive linemen. The Saints, do they have talent? Absolutely, and they're going to play better than they did last time, where they gave up 29 points, and Sam Bradford did the second best game of his career behind the Packer game. But when you look at the Saints, I just think again the Vikings are have been the most consistent and healthiest team all year. They have played basically a lot of consistent football games. You really can't think of a bad Viking game they were in where they looked embarrassing. I can't think of one. However, the problem is, and this is kind of the drawback. I know Drew Brees is much better, and that concerns me because this is Case Keenum's first playoff start. But knowing what Case Keenum has on the horizon, he knows he'll be a free agent next year, and he'll probably be one of the hottest, if not the hottest quarterback prospect anybody in the NFL will want to listen from. I hope he uses that as motivation. I hope he also uses it again there in the Super Bowl stadium. He only has to play 2 more good games to get to the Super Bowl, to have a chance to win the Super Bowl for the first time in Vikings history. You have that home crowd in that stadium, which has been a horrendous aspect for the whole year. And also, you've seen the Saints team from the beginning of the year. A lot of the guys that were on there are either hurt now or gone. But I'm going to take the Vikings here. They're healthier. They have a more solid defense. And I think Case Keenum can make enough plays with his feet and his arm to win the game and manage it well enough to where New Orleans will make a mistake or two, or they won't be able to capitalize on the defense and win this game to set up a very intriguing NFC Championship game, a rematch of the 1998 NFC Championship game at the Metrodome. Falcons and Vikings, the famous Gary Anderson game, and depending on how Atlanta plays, or depending on how both teams play, we may see another repeat of that. Or, as I said before, I think the Vikings will get the Super Bowl, and they get their redemption to Atlanta for 1998. So that's like Minnesota here -4 and Minnesota straight up. But that is it. So anybody out there, please like, comment, rate, subscribe. Please ask me any questions about football. Ask me any questions about any of the head coaching hires, any thing about the college football game that happened last night. Congrats to the Alabama Crimson Tide, their 5th title in 9 years. Ask me any question. Like, comment, rate, subscribe, and that's it. Also, please check out the NFL YouTube prognosticators. Shout out to Geo Knows, Bridgewater's Finest, Halfbox Nation, Keith Bailey, Johnny Brisnick, Johnny Talks Sports, Half Moon's Picks, all those guys and gals that do picks just like I do every single week of the football season. Please check them out. TJ Harmon, please check them all out and help them get their views up, just like you do with mine. And that's it. So until next week for the Conference Championship Weekend predictions, this is Matt the Fanatic signing off. Until next time, so long.